Hey there, it's Joe Mullings, Untitled and Unfiltered. We're a couple weeks into COVID now, and look, it's taking up just about every conversation we're having out in the world today, and it's hard not to, because if you're not, I don't think you're stomaching or even acknowledging how things are going to change moving forward. And I own a number of small businesses, so you've got I'm listening to a lot of owners around the SBA loans and the payroll protection program, and then the individuals who are going to be getting checks in the mail, and the individuals who are going to be able to apply for unemployment, even 1099s, are able to apply for some sort of subsidization, unemployment, whatever you want to call it. And I'm totally thankful that all those programs are in place. Now, having said that, nobody's coming to save you. That's what today's about. Absolutely nobody's going to come save you. So if you're counting on that SBA loan to be your savior, I think you've got to really come to grips with the business that you're in. Is it coming to save you because you plan on being in the same business on the other side of this? That's a question that you've got to answer. On the unemployment, if you're a 1099 and you're a consultant in any business, whether you were a wait person, whether you were a video editor, whether you were a 1099 tailor, if you think that the government, and this is not against the government, what this is you counting on somebody else coming to save you. If you think that somebody else coming to save you is going to be your answer, in the world we lived in previous to this COVID situation, there was usually a reasonably good expectation of that. But right now, this is such an order of magnitude larger that if you're counting on anybody other than yourself and the very small circle around you of your family and your team, you might very well have a dramatically different life from both an economic status, an emotional status, a relationship and marriage status, in 5 or 6 months. So if you're counting on this big machine to come save us of unemployment, stimulus, this is a bridge. And it's the same bridge on you being told when to wear a mask. And it's the same bridge for you being told when it's okay to be 6 feet together. Just think about all those things for a second. And this is not against communism, socialism, or a statement on how a government manages its people. What this is a statement on is what kind of responsibility are you going to take for your life? Because if you think about the default, I'm waiting for the bank. I'm waiting for my boss. I'm waiting for my company. I'm waiting for the hiring to start again. If you really think about that, you are offloading and outsourcing your future on somebody else who doesn't even know likely who you are. And that's why I said earlier, your family and your team. And that team is whatever team is. My team is the organizations that I work with, the people that are on the other side of these cameras, that are on the other side of the phones. That's my team. They have a very direct impact on what my life is going to be 3 months from now, but even more importantly, 3 years from now. Here's why. The decisions you're making right now, because there's still no horizon, you can only look 2 weeks ahead, and you can adjust those activities over the next 3 days. And so it's really important that you differentiate on every single decision you make. Take that downrange 3 years. Because that is really the life you have to worry about. And so right now, if you're waiting for the job market to come back online on how it was in the past, you're hallucinating. Those jobs are not going to be the same. Just look around for a second. I told my wife I prefer not to have takeout when she had a pizza come in the other day. And then for Easter, we had some fantastic short ribs and salmon and things like that. I said, listen, take a break. Just order the shit in, right? These restaurants that used to be packed I'm wondering if those restaurants are even going to bother going back to having wait service and tables, because they're charging the same amount of money for the entree, yet they don't have to worry about the dishwashers, they don't have to worry about the pantry, they don't have to worry about the wait person and all the salaries and expenses that go with that. And as a society, we've now become accustomed to that. If you would have told me I was doing takeout, I hated takeout unless it was pizza pie. So think about that in every business, going to your doctor right now, right? If you're the person who was the office manager and you were there for 25 years and you're in your mid-50s, I'm going to bet when this is over that you don't have the job that was there beforehand because of telehealth. I'm going to bet that the house husband or the housewife that had to take off a half a day to take their kid to the doctor for their asthma checkup, who had to sit in the checkout, had to sit in the waiting room for 2 hours and be disrespected, that's going to go away, because now I'm going to be able to pick up my phone or pick up my iPad, because now the government has reimbursed that. Now the doctors have become accustomed to that telehealth visit. The restaurants have become accustomed to. The customers have become accustomed to. So if you're waiting right now for the other side to be the same as, and I'm not even sure it's going to rhyme with, I think you're going to be incredibly screwed. Because think about what you're doing again. You're waiting for the outcome to be determined for you and see where you're going to fit in. And a majority of people in this world have lived their entire life that way, by personal choice. It doesn't make you a good or bad person. It just means that you have been used to minimal consequences and always being taken care of by a bigger machine. And so I'm going to say, listen, think about this. Think deeply about this. Is you are allowing something else to control your life and the outcomes of it. We've been in this now for, I don't know, depends on where you live in the country, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, where it's really been, severe. And I'm just wondering how many of you have taken up a new skill set or went through a self-learning opportunity, or decided that the career you were in was not the one you wanted to be in, or even assumed that the job that you planned on coming back to is even going to exist. And you're going to get pissed on the other side of this. You're going to shake a finger saying you got screwed. Yet I'm curious, how much of it did you own during this entire time to create more upside for you on the other side of this? These consequences are much more dire than I think everybody is sort of internalizing, and it's because we've been insulated for so long. We've been snowflaked for so long. And look, I'm just saying what I did with my team. We chose to come up with all brand new, additional, not instead of, products and opportunities for us and the people who work with us. This is not my commercial. I'm just saying how I think and why I feel like standing here and helping you and shaking you and say, wake up. I'm not waiting for my customers to be of the same mindset on the other side of this. I'm not waiting for my customers to have the same checkbook on the other side of this. I'm not waiting for this country to be run the same way on the other side of this and think I'm just going to get back on that e-ticket ride that we were all once part of. This is not intended to be doom and gloom. This is intended to be like, hey, listen, wake up. This is not anything like '08. This is not like anything like 2000 or 1990, the others that some of you have been through. Those were economic happenings, not even black swans. This is an entire social change of a civilization. How you interact with each other, how you interact moving forward, how you live in a world where you're not going to have the bro hugs anymore. And probably going to have to walk around with masks on a majority of the time or seasonally. And what kind of business opportunities does that declare? Again, I think like a capitalist, I communicate like a capitalist, but I'm a humanist. What I don't want you to do is to be left standing when the music stops and there's no chair because you thought the music was never going to stop. So you really need to get your arms around this. Because generationally, you have a responsibility to those that are coming right after you. You're going to sit at a kitchen table with a child, or you're going to sit at a kitchen table with a brother or sister or a spouse or a grandchild, depending on how old you are. And the conversations you have are going to set the tone in that next generation's head. You're going to be etching those messages in their head. And are you going to teach that generation how to be a survivalist and have self-discipline and not count on anybody else to architect your future? Or are you going to sit there and blame and blame and blame and blame the team in the White House and blame the Chinese and blame, dude, history has been one big entire shit show. And this isn't any different. And lives in this moment of 2020 are going to be dynamically different than in any other period that any of us have lived in. Even bigger than the Great Depression, in my opinion. So just really think this through. Look at yourself, count only on yourself. Look at your team, count only on your team. As you move that concentric circle out, your house, your work team, your neighborhood, your city, your town, your state, your country. The country has very little interest in saving you, and it's not their responsibility. And then it works in. The interest starts to become, look, I care about every single person that I touch in a very deep way. People I don't know, I have empathy for, but I don't care about. And that seems like a brutal statement, but it's the truth. And it goes the other way in. The government has to care about you because they need your vote. But it's diluted. So look right at yourself, 100% responsibility. Teammates, 100% responsibility. Family, 100% responsibility. After that, nobody's coming to save you. I'm Joe Mullings, and this has been Untitled and Unfiltered.